I'll leave it to the professionals.
Blessed by Gandhi, blah, blah, blah.
Started off with a bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Surfing on the web and I'm shooting at 3. I've been goated when I got my G. I'm an alien boy from a different planet, yeah. So I got my drink, I'm riding in the 1920s Model T Ford. Car era lore. Call me Levi playing on the keys, boy. And I'm about to put my gloves on. If I said it, then I meant that. Yeah, I like that one, I'm about to get that. Crash that whip for the drumsticks, whiplash. I'm about to get them all. Are you with that? In a white boat, surrounded by blue. I want one, but I got a cop too. I wanna fly high in the sky, arms out wide, trying to soar from a bird's eye view. I'm on fire, Ricky, Bobby, cracking the pavement, Whitney, Bobby. I'm a Saki bomb, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. Bruce Wayne been a dog, and I keep it 101, cause I'm feeling kinda spotty. You sipping on some rock, and I'm sipping on octane. The only thing around my neck is the
Started off with a
blockchain.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
NFT, Twitter, blockchain. Seeing with the ghosts and we ballin' like LeBron James. Crypto. We can make a trade, get the memo. Refuse not falling for the FOMO. Listening to Coffee with Captain. You know we worldwide, they loco. I ain't never gonna stop rapping. Orlando, yeah, we working magic. We rocking Ethereum NFTs. I just went and caught me a half base. Man, I gotta shout out
Started
the
off with a
party.
bit, now I got coin. I see where y'all going. Been poppin' since Web 1, hella hoes on Web 2. I was living a dream, now I'm on Web 3. And it is what it seems, topping the pyramid schemes, I'm telling you. I'll sell you a percentage on Nebula. Shout out to Vince, he'll set it up.
Breaking the mood to choose one, but they got knowledge to move, son. I'm shocking in shades with my brother in suits, yeah, them blues is coming. Even though it's hard to pick, eeny, miny, mo, soda on the mix, no biting lips, it's time to go. Index number 1, no thumbs up, you gotta scroll. Looking at the ghost in studio, it's time to go. I had a helmet on by myself until I met a mask that wanted to have a face off. So I had to bring my chainsaw, full tank of gas in the drive with my brakes off. I'm A1, but a different kind of steak sauce.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain, powered by ApeCoin, where we dive into all things crypto, NFTs, Web3, and cutting-edge technology. Remember, nothing here is financial advice. Early-stage tech can be exceptionally volatile and risky. So grab your coffee and join Cap and Steve for today's conversation.
Welcome to the future.
Welcome to Coffee with Captain GM. Thanks so much for joining. If you haven't done so, do us a favor, drop us a GM in the chat down below, then head up top, smash that like, repost, and bookmark on the day's space. Greatly appreciate it. It does warm up the algo. It does us real solid. You'll also find up there a link to the abstract chat as well as YouTube. Appreciate all of our GMers over in the YouTube streets. We've got Machiavelli, Teacher Katie. Good luck, congrats to your Pats. The Patriots looked pretty good yesterday. My Niners look the best. Brock Purdy is elite. Even with this scrubs, he is pulling along to the Super Bowl. But probably not a whole lot of cold open sports talk this morning. We do have Smart Dumb Man and Teacher Katie and Machiavelli also doing the double dipping over there in the abstract streets. We're live on all those platforms and appreciate y'all. I'm working on getting up an old but new account here on stage. I had to update X. So we'll see if Take Two works here with the Coffee with Captain account. We won't show it relentlessly, but if you've not yet given this account a follow, it'll be kind of your one-stop shop on X to find show info, in particular the links to the show and recordings and video clips and all that good stuff. So that you should see that now in the co-host seat. Man, it got it up, gave it the invite, and then it dropped down to listener once again. So I will cancel that, and we'll do a take 3 here in a second. Make sure I leave the correct phone and not the main phone. Appreciate you all bearing with me. I see Imlo out there excited for we've teased this upcoming this upcoming art segment, rather, I should say, a few times. I think we are going to be kicking that off this Friday. Looking forward to our first guest. And if you are an artist and looking for some additional exposure or would like to join the show, hit us up. More coming soon on that. We actually have a lot of things working behind the scenes, just taking them one at a time here. So as I get through cold open and work on getting this other account actually back up on stage, keeping it on stage, it'd probably work flawlessly. Wouldn't probably have any issues adding another account to stage as a speaker and then ultimately a co-host. However, the head of product at X is spending more time gaslighting users, in particular crypto Twitter users, and making excuses for his app that is regressing. So not sure what is, as we were talking with Payne pre-shows, like unfortunately a lot of the crypto Twitter timeline over the weekend was the PvP era of crypto Twitter is officially over. Crypto Twitter is now one united force. Actually, no, mostly united, like 97% united. I think the only person defending Nikita on crypto Twitter is Mert for some reason. But other than that, I think 99% of crypto Twitter is united in their disdain for Nikita, the head of product at X, who apparently he says this morning or last night that the algo is not his responsibility. It is XAI. He just focused on their core product, to which I ask, what the hell is their core product if not this app and the algo? He did launch a few new things that he liked to take a victory lap for, but not a fan. Can't remember last time I have felt. I don't. It's not even just what he's doing. I'm not blaming, especially if he's saying, "Oh, it's he has nothing to do with it," which again I don't believe. At minimum, he should be relaying feedback, listening to his users, and relaying that to XAI. But it's been a long time that I can remember who, like one individual, whether they're a CEO or head of product, that like almost like unanimously made something worse and then like still had some arrogance or fake confidence about them that it wasn't their fault. Every time someone responded, it was, oh no, you're doing this wrong, and just I think how he's going about it. I'm not even using the word gaslighting as a hyperbole. Like it's I don't know, I'm not a psychologist, but it seems to be like stereo, like I don't know the right word for it. Like it does seem to be textbook gaslighting, and because some of the stuff he's come out and said is just not accurate. Again, he maybe doesn't understand the algo if it's not his product or not something he's working on. Which again, that in itself is odd to me that he's not more involved there. But how he's talking to people, mostly some of his power users, is pretty poor. So maybe things will change. I'm still working on getting this all together here. Actually, while I'm doing that, I'll go back to the main phone here. We'll post up the take over the weekend that Grok won't even answer. And Funky did remind me that maybe me and him and anyone else that's over the age of 45 might even know who the other 3 candidates are. But like after Nikita and X, the first name that popped into my mind of someone that was a product manager, head of product, or CEO that was near unanimously not liked by the cult following of said brand was John Scully, the sugar water CEO at Pepsi. Or sorry, the Pepsi sugar water CEO that came into Apple and just made mistake after mistake after mistake there. So I also added Steve Ballmer when he took over the CEO reins at Microsoft. They were the dominant player at the time on many fronts with Windows and everything else they were doing. And he missed the entire mobile revolution. He missed, they tried to do Windows mobile and Windows phone or two, and just mistake after mistake on the, during his reign there. He's done fine. Obviously he was there early, so that's maybe not even a good example because there's some people that like Ballmer, but and then the other one was Melissa Mayer at Yahoo after her she passed on a deal. I can't remember exactly which one it was that she passed on, but they bought Tumblr for like $1 billion and then effectively sunset that. They were leading. They were like the main search engine. I believe they were still number one in search when she took on there. Maybe they'd already lost to Google, but my brain, without doing the research, remembered Yahoo in the lead, in pole position as far as search goes when she took over, and then it's obviously now Google's world, and everyone else is playing in that until the LLMs take over. I'm going to try this one more time on the Coffee with Captain account. If we can't get it up here, we'll do that another day. But yeah, I do have several things to hit on this morning. We'll touch on them all. Some exciting headlines. That said, it is kind of like a headline day. What I mean by that is a lot of headlines will hit on the nuggets, the bullet points. I'm not sure how many of these will be like deeply conversational as far as like, again, if anyone wants to join, open stage here is always on coffee. Whether you want to join us in the chat or jump up on stage, would love for any of you to add to the conversation. But yeah, I'm not sure some of these, like I told Payne, I don't know if I have the ability to do a 2-hour monologue on any of these topics today. So we may hit on the more the headlines, hit on some of these, what hit the news over the weekend, and it could be a shorter show. But every time I've said might be a 90-minute show, we end up going like 2.5 hours. So I won't guarantee that. But X is seemingly, I don't know, it's broken on my end, at least from the bat phone, trying to get, this should not be this hard. It's 11 minutes in. I've been trying for 11 minutes to get this other account on stage. So it's going to be my last attempt. If not, we will roll into things. As always, I'm Cap, joined by, I'm attempting to get a co-host that's also me on the stage here, but it's really struggling. So we're going to try one more time to get the Coffee with Captain account in the co-host seat. And if this doesn't work, we're going to roll right ahead. But as always, never any financial advice in the show. It's all risky. Crypto's risky, meme coins are risky, NFT's risky. All go to zero to moments. Please don't put any money you can't afford to lose. And that I do hold tokens I'll talk about from time to time here in the show. I'm not a financial advisor, certainly not your financial advisor. Don't join for that. Just join for some fun, some information, and a little bit of education along the way. I'm going to hit respond here. I'm going to accept the co-host invite. If it doesn't do it, we're moving on. Last few times, it has just moved it right to listener. And looks like we're good. Hey, good job, Nikita. 7 times to get a co-host on stage. The app is not broken entirely yet, but if he doesn't get replaced, it may not make it through the end of the year. I kid. It's a little bit of a jab, but I just don't like how he's talking to people. We talk about Web3 founders and Web3 teams and how much they would benefit from having professional comms and PR people on the team. Somewhat important that X has their, and I know you say, oh, Elon is the spokesperson for X. Yeah, sure. But he's also running 5 other brands and businesses that are far more important than X. And he's tapped Nikita as his guy here. And the other, it's not gonna be a 2-hour bash Nikita space, but yeah, I don't know. Anyways, let's pivot into some good Nikita stuff that he did talk about. New things coming to X. One, be it what's it called? Smart tags. I can't remember what he called them. Basically, you will be able to. He did get a Beeple out of it, so there you have that. Which he's taking a victory lap on. So here is what he's calling it: smart hashtags. X is the best source of financial news. At least it is if you're not getting served a political take every 9 out of 10 post. He says X is the best source for financial news, and hundreds of billions of dollars are deployed based on things people read here. We're building smart hashtags that allow you to specify the exact asset or smart contract when posting a ticker from timeline. Users will be able to tap them to see its real-time price along with mentions of that asset. We're aiming to collect feedback as we iterate towards a public release next month. Cool. Nice win. I have to wonder, was that in response to him losing So keep fishing. Help. I think it was in response partially, at least the timing of it, him to losing crypto Twitter or crypto Twitter wanting to burn him at the stake after this weekend. I will pull this up here in a second, but keep fishing. Educate me. I thought like she definitely did wrong. Keep fishing's correcting me in the chat. Said Melissa Mayer took over a dead brand at Yahoo. I'm not sure it was dead. I maybe I'm being too harsh. She's a bad fourth or bad example, but I mean, there was definitely missteps. But I will. She's probably the least worthy of being in that group. Here is the newsworthy post that Nikita shared over the weekend. That's not just crypto Twitter fighting with him, but smart cash tags by $B pulls up Berkshire Hathaway, Bitcoin, Bonk, Base. You see an NVIDIA chart here. You could buy. You can see public mention. So cool. Is it world changing? I don't know. I mean, whatever. It's fine. It's fine. It's cool. I would much rather have the ability to see the people I follow. Let me rewind. I will at least give here's what happened. Here were the controversial takes or clapbacks. Someone put out a post on, hey, why don't I see my friends? I follow crypto Twitter. I engage with crypto Twitter people, and so the original post I'm looking for, there's so many other posts that people are also calling out and calling him a jerk and other things that it's taken me a while to find the original one that kind of kicked this thing off over the weekend. But Nikita Bear becomes Nikita Bohr in crypto Twitter meme frenzy. There is a lot. It is, if you just search Nikita, that search result is kind of funny. I'm not going to pull them all up on stage here. Probably, I don't want to get we're working on growing our YouTube account, not getting it banned or demonetized. So I'll share this. This was from Stats. I'll just rapid fire a few, and then if anyone has any, real thoughts, feelings, anything you want to share on Nikita or X, jump up. Otherwise, we'll get into a market update after this, and then we got a few other key topics. We are going to touch on stablecoins and this Stablecoin Act and what's happening there. Coinbase threatens to pull their Clarity Act support, which is a pretty big deal. We got gold and silver and Kalshi screaming up to all-time highs. Kalshi did about $500 million yesterday in 1 day of volume. Most of that was sports. We have Chimpers and Good Vibes Club flipping mutants and continue to move up. Are they entering the quote-unquote blue chip conversation? Privacy Coin banned in Dubai. It's not exactly what it looks like, but we will expand on that and who's impacted by it. On the other end, South Korea ending a crypto ban. So there's a lot of deeper conversations we'll have, but I do want to at least pay some attention to X and that conversation that took place over the weekend. We've got Wrecked Drinks and WorldStar. They've got their drop is at 1 p.m. Eastern today. But I'll rapid fire a few of these Nikita takes to give you all an understanding. If you happen to have missed it, if you were touching grass over the weekend, probably a good weekend to touch grass or just watch football. Go Niners. Stats says the reason everyone is so up in arms about Nikita's post is that CT was consistent and the algorithm was good at giving us content we wanted. Agreed. Then X decided to change the algo to make it suck and feed us an echo chamber political post. And we have Nikita say, actually, it's your fault because you respond to people who say GM, terrible moves all around, mess up a product, and then gaslight the customer. I agree. Like I will go back and find the initial one that sent this thing off. Here's one from Moon. I want to find this original post. That's why I'm struggling to find it because he did delete it, which is another thing. Like, dude, what are you doing? How are you going to be the head of product on X and delete your post and not think people are screenshotting it? It makes it look worse. Like, it still probably does its round if he doesn't delete it, but now it's just one of the things. Like this guy. This is Moon Overlord says, Elon, we need your help. Nikita is purposely destroying X, one of the largest communities on X. He deleted the tweet to hide the cover up. His post, I will go find the original one. It was simply this guy, Bernie Madoff, or incognito Ison says, what happened to CT? I don't see who I follow nor my friends. Perfect example was I just pulled up stats account. I only see stats if I search for stats. If I search for stats account, he's someone similar to like Tyler and Bcheck, where I would look at his daily posts. And I know he's not putting daily stats out there anymore, but someone that we follow each other. We've engaged quite literally hundreds of times in the last few years, from comments to reposts, both ways, etc. He's been on the show, like clearly someone I've engaged with. Now that I think about it, I haven't seen a post from Steve for like weeks. This guy, I've spent thousands of hours, easy to see that I've spent thousands of hours with Steve on this app. He's we follow each other, we engage with each other. You think he's someone I'd like to see on my timeline. I don't see him anymore. The only time I see these people, if I search, I do appreciate that I get breaking news on X. It's just whatever throttle they moved, it went way too far, and it's removing things that I do want to see, people that I do want to see. If I want to go see 90% brain rot, I go to TikTok. The reason I'm on X is because I'm not interested in that stuff. Unless I want to go search for brain rot, I don't need another brain rot app. Anyways, he says in October, his response to this post, what happened to CT? In October, a new myth started circulating CT that you need to reply hundreds of times per day to grow your account. Well, first of all, that's the first thing. He's just objectively wrong. Like if you've been on CT, you know that the reply guy thing didn't start in October. It's been going on for years. He says, however, each time you post, it uses some of your reach for that day. We can't show all your posts to your followers because on average, users only view 20 to 30 posts per day. So CT ends up wasting all their reach replying GM hundreds of times. And when they finally post real content, like a project announcement, it only gets shown to 3 people. CT is dying from suicide, not the algorithm. So much wrong here. And my response to this was like, well, maybe in some cases that's it, but that's like, I'm not a reply guy, and that's what's hurt my monetization. And he's also had directly conflicting takes out of here as far as how to grow your account on X. And he's the one who said, do the reply guy game. Anyways, that was the post. That's what started this thing off in a tizzy over the weekend. There is, I guess, the Nikita Bohr meme is running a bit. There's one other post I'm looking for. If I can't find it, we'll just move on. But the reach meter, again, comic, if that's real, then share it. Let people know. There's so many people too that I believe, I'm near certain, are not reply guys. That's not why they're getting nerfed. I don't reply guy. And I've said I need to do it more because that's what the algo has been rewarding. And he's saying that's what's it's not accurate. I don't know what else to say. Calio says, insane take, and that a product he needs to go. Rather than supporting growth in users who are chronically online, he's finally admitting he's intentionally nuked our reach and tried to kill our community on this platform. He's literally incentivizing people to post and create less content. CT isn't dying from suicide. X is. I don't think it's that deep, but I do believe something needs to change. It seems to maybe be getting a little bit better. Maybe they heard it and I've quickly made some changes. I'm not sure. Keep Fishing says, is he the only one that exclusively uses lists 90% of the time, so the algo doesn't really affect him? Probably should use lists more. I have a few. I think my problem is it doesn't default back to that. So yes, I probably should use more lists. Now I do use the following page, and even it is just not working like it once did. So I don't know. I hope. Obviously, I'm biased. Obviously, I show up here every Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. Eastern time to use this app, and I hope things do get fixed. But yeah, the following tab just doesn't. I see people like DeFi Addict saying default is for you, which is the fee base what you're clicking on. Yes and no. Like, have I talked about some arepas and clicked on some things from Venezuela? Sure, I have. Relative to, like, I think the math I used was like, it's like 90% of what I engage with is crypto. 7% sports, 3% other topic of the day. And it's inverted. Like what I'm being fed in the For You is 97% topic of the day, geopolitical stuff, or put a bikini on this stuff. It's like, I don't want to see that stuff. If it's like real breaking world news, yes, I do want to see it. Do I need to see every single? No, it's not what I engage with that often. It's just it's really out of. So I do see value in the For You app, but even the following tab, it doesn't seem to be, for on my end, my experience is diminished since Nikita has started doing whatever he is he's been doing. Wob, I mean, I'm going to post Wob's. Wob probably had the best take on this. I'm sure he used ChatGPT to at least help summarize his thoughts here, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. It's pretty long. I'll post up top in a second. He quote tweeted DGen News, who said, basically quote tweeted the take I just shared a little bit ago. Wob says, it's pretty clear the new algorithm is destroying the platform. The people in charge won't realize it until it's too late because the method of action is more insidious. The real reason that is the team internally thinks that they're building Reddit instead of 4chan, which is to say they do not understand who their user base of creators is, nor which, big words, I need Steve to help with that one, diaspora of internet people are serving. You can see across a few of the moves that were made in the past year an obsession with the front page, a very Reddit concept, and a tight curating of which posting styles can reach it. The failed official X Bangers account gave us a window into the brains of the product team and what posts they see as high quality posting. Nearly all the posts included were slop, which appealed to the lowest common denominator, being where the variable they were optimizing for, unregretted user minutes, is being wasted. The metrics used to measure success are lying. Initiatives and incentivization like this has driven posting behavior to become a derivative of the same slop. Cynical commentary that's divorced of personality. Insert LLM flag. Open For You. Open the For You page. Fixate less on each post's content, but more on the overall post structure, and you'll see that it's mostly some permutation of an Elon glazing post, satirical quote tweet of some news event. We hate when women are men because something MAGA, the current trending topic, example vibe coding, maybe a couple posts from your specific network or set of interests. This is the exact same time that they're being shoveled to users every single day. It's becoming stale, and the way that commentary is structured in order to go viral has become homogenous to the point where every viral post follows a specific written formula. It's similar to new age RW version of Reddit speak, one which will eventually, and already does, trigger visceral disgust when read and continues to be optimized to its final state. It goes on. I'll pin it up top if you want to read it in more detail, but it makes me sad because I know a lot of people say, oh, Elon broke X. I never really felt that. My X was working just fine up until, I don't know. I don't know. It's hard for me to actually determine when did this change. I can't. It's definitely post Nikita when I have noticed the downward, progressively getting worse. I don't know exactly when or what change it might have been, but for the longest time, like, X was working fine for me post Elon acquisition. It still was very much so the home of CT. I still got all my CT news, and the people I followed were in my feed, in my, not only my following, but my For You as well. And that has taken a big turn recently. We have a big thread from the Banana Rat I will also share here. Again, if anyone wants to join this convo or has any takes one way or the other, feel free to jump up on stage or drop your comments in the chat as well. We will be moving on here to a market update in a few seconds or a few minutes, and then get on these other trending headlines. But thread, why X stopped selling art and where buyers actually went. Demographics, the answer always has been, always will be. Platforms don't die because of vibes. They die because of buyers leave. The primary demographic on X today is males 25 to 60, leaning right, loud, opinion rich. Purchase, light. I'm not sure what that means. That matters. The other high value demographics, they already left, not quietly, not gradually. They migrated with intent. Women 25 to 65, household income to 200K plus, decorators, home buyers, collectors. I don't know if they were, I never saw that on X. So I'm not saying you're wrong. What you just described there, that demographic, yeah, I do believe they live on Pinterest and Instagram. I just don't know as if they were ever on X per se, at least not that be their primary home. And I actually do see female professionals on this app, probably as much or more so than any other app, at least in what the network that I've curated from a following and that follow me. Maybe they live on LinkedIn. I don't know. Valid point. I just like to say today 80% Pinterest, 20% LinkedIn, 0 on X. I'm not sure about that. Maybe if we're talking specifically art, potentially there's something there. I just I don't know. That doesn't like, oh yeah, that's exactly what happened, at least as I read it the first time. And yeah, DeFi Addict adds, I think they're just having a hard time implementing Grok to run the algorithm. Will take lots of times tweaking to get it right. I agree, and I won't take any issue with, hey, we're making some tweaks. We want to make it better. This is hard. I don't doubt that it's hard. If it was easy to build a social network that fed people exactly what they wanted to see, Elon wouldn't have bought X for $44 billion. It wouldn't be hard to break. There'd be a lot more social networks that thrive than the main 3, 4, 5 that exist today. So I don't take issue with, hey, tweaking things, make it better. You're probably going to break some eggs while you're making breakfast. You're probably going to break some things while you're attempting to make it better. My issue is really the big issue with Nikita comes with the gaslighting and him basically arguing with, attempting to dunk on or make fun of some of his power users. I saw one who's like, oh, it's because you've posted more than you have followers. Like, MF, what's wrong with you? Why can't you just say, hey, we made some mistakes, we're going to fix it? Like his attitude and it's really ignited this uproar. Maybe it's just crypto Twitter. I don't know, but Crypto Dog kind of sums up my thoughts best here in saying, being an asshole to your longtime power users isn't how to lead a company or product. This is just callous. This is exactly what I was talking about. Like, the most definitive measure of posting ability is your follower to total post ratio. What? How many posts did it take you to get to where you are today? We should probably start showing this instead of follower accounts a signal. Yet, if you've been on X for the last 5 years, it's been pretty well documented that the quickest way to grow your following is to engage, is to reply to popular accounts, meaning you're going to post a lot to grow your following. In most accounts, as they're growing, they're going to, unless there's someone that's getting retweeted by Elon, they're most likely going to have more posts than follows. It's just, and he's like, oof, like he said, Zach says it's obviously false, especially for an account that regularly deletes a lot of posts like yours. He says, oof, and calling out that Zach has 80,000 followers, but he's got to 80,000 followers on 61,000 posts. So I don't even quite understand what's he like. That's less posts than followers. So it's like, oh, that's not a good enough ratio, a 6 to 8 or a 3 to 4. It's like, what are you even talking about, guy? Crypto goes on to say, I screenshot it because I knew he'd delete it. This guy openly hates us. Elon is Nikita, and he also took, you can't tag him anymore. Just like a little beta move. I don't know why I'm so upset. He's got like, it's not what they're doing or the mistakes they made, it's how he's going about it. And I'll double down again. Not only do the Web3 crypto brands, should they be bringing on comms and marketing and PR professionals in leadership roles, X needs some help here. Like, get the guy under control. Take away his phone. Even if he takes no responsibility for the algorithm, he's hurting the app. He's quite literally driving away power users and causing disdain amongst one of the... Do I sound biased? Yes, I'm in crypto. Twitter is my community. I think I'm factually accurate in saying it is one of the most vibrant crypto, or one of the most vibrant communities on Twitter. Like, sports is good, but sports, the fantasy sports community, the crypto community, the decorating your home community, I agree with Banana Rat. That's a demographic that's primarily on Pinterest and Instagram and other things that are visual. I just don't know. He says the primary demographic are the primary demographic, Captain. The others have left. Were they ever here, though? I don't know if that was really their primary. I don't know if this was really their primary home. Like, it's always like, I think I'm safe in saying, like, Twitter has always been the primary home for crypto Twitter. Just like I feel it's always been the primary home for fantasy sports discourse. And that's what I'm taking issue with is he's, instead of taking user feedback and passing it along, he's attacking these people or telling them they're wrong. And it's like, dude, we've been here. We no one here said that, oh, Reply Guy game just started in October of last year. That's just objectively wrong. I mean, you could probably go back and find an NFT God post from 2022 that talked about Reply Guy. Last one from Data Rat adds, the only reliable way to grow your account on X is to praise Elon or Tesla. Do it consistently, your account grows, don't, and your reach disappears. I know people don't like Elon. I don't think that's the case. Might you, if you glaze Elon and get a retweet, is that going to grow your account faster? Sure. But I don't, it's like, the funny thing is, I don't see the Elon or Tesla commentary nearly as much. Every once in a while I see something about a supercharger business idea, but I don't. And I drive a Tesla. I've posted about Tesla and full self-driving. It's incredible. Like, it should get praise. It's an incredible technology, but I'm not getting fed that stuff on my timeline. And I've talked about it. The thing is, like, this is my case in point. It's like, I'd be cool if I was getting served some of that. I don't. So maybe it's just my algo. It's more so than that sort of stuff that's outside of my network. It's the fact that my network, Stats, Steve, B-Check, Tyler, like people that I engage with almost on a daily basis, because that's where I get part of my information from. The only way I see them now is I have to go search. And then when I search, I'm going to do this live in real time. Like, if I search, that's a bad example. I would say if I search Steve K. Bark is probably 17th on the list. He actually does pop up first. So maybe search is at least getting better. But oftentimes you go search for a user and it's not even the full user, even if you type in the real name. So something is, my experience, my personal lived journey is what I'm not getting served is more impactful than what I am getting served. And yeah, I guess maybe the answer is just list, just exclusively use list. Okay, I guess it's just you're on your phone, you open up something quickly. It doesn't default to that. And I feel it's just not the best user experience. That said, we're going to move on. We're getting into a market update here, and we will talk all things. What should play you in? Because it's approaching tax season, not a sponsored segment, but you are getting ready to prepare your taxes. Can't speak highly enough about Awaken Tax. They sponsored us last year. We'll see if we can get another. We actually do have the discount code is extended coffee 50 or return coffee 50 if you're a returning user, and you'll get $50 off your tax prep from Awaken Tax. We'll play it in, and we will cover the market here in about 20 seconds.
It's market update time and set the play. Powered by Awaken, the smart tax way. From crypto flips to DeFi stacks. They keep it clean, got your back. Grab your coffee, let's break it down. Daily update, right now.
This is our daily market update, unsponsored today, but we were going to fly through some majors, some memes, even hit on some NFTs today. So we had some pretty big movement on a few select NFTs over the weekend. So we're going to start with coins. I'm going to see what we'll go look and see what the OpenSea. Perfect. I couldn't have queued this up better. I was going to say, we're going to see what the OpenSea token chart looks like, and it just by sorted by percentage increase over the day. So to the surprise of no one, the leading coin on the day is Buttcoin, up 259% on the day. Heroverse up 140% on the day. I will move back. There's probably some settings I could change. It's probably my fault, but let me go over to majors, and then we'll come back and look at NFTs there. Looking at the top actual tokens, Bitcoin is it's basically flat on the day, 90,636, down like 0.09%. ETH is also flat, 3,100, up 0.12% if you like the green and red game. XRP down 2%, BNB down 1%, Solana up 2%, USDC holding firm. We are going to talk stables, I promise. Tron down basically flat, Doge down 3%, Cardano down 2.5%. I do want to see Hyperliquid down 3%, Zcash up 2%, and some of our other favorites here. Let's go look quickly at Pingu, and then we'll move into NFTs. Pingu, where are we at? Bonk is down 3%. Pingu is down 3.5%. Virtual's down 5% after it pumped a little bit. So kind of a flat to down day in the world of tokens. If we head over to NFTs, though, different story, as we had some incredible results of the weekend. I'm not sure what's driving it. Is it just momentum? Was there a big sweep? Anyone that's been following closely to, in particular, Good Vibes Club up 25% on the day. That's 0.78 ETH now. I missed my opportunity. I mentioned I had sold a couple around like 0.69 when the the strategy wallet was loaded with a lot of Good Vibes Club, like hundreds of them in that 0.69 to low 0.7s range. So I was like, it's gonna stall there. And I was right, but what I failed to do was re-enter in the 0.45, 0.5 range before it just plowed through that sell wall from strategy. Strategy token, the Vibester also up 40% of the day. Might be something here. Not only is Good Vibes Club up 25% of the day, Chimpers up 28% of the day to 0.73. Major moves. I will go pull up NFT strategy as well and see what I'm guessing. Chimpster is also up bigly on the day. It was again, Vibester up 40%. Let's go look here. Sorry, just need to find the actual tokens. Here we are. So Punk Strategy down 1%. Vibester, as I mentioned, almost 40%, up 37% on the day. $5.83 million market cap. Chimpster lagging. Chimpster flat, down 1%, 3.87. Maybe it pumped previously. Then you got Ape at 1.19, Pudgy Strategy at 1.15, Burb Strategy at 1.13, Pain Strategy up 26% of the day, Nakamigos up 63% of the day. I'm wondering, is Chimpster or Chimp Strategy lagging, or did it already have a pump? Okay, so it did have a pump. There we go. It pumped last week, ran up quite a bit, it's pulled back. I may go buy some Chimpster today, just purely on nothing other than, well, Vibester ran up big on the Good Vibes Club pump. Chimpers has pumped more than Good Vibes Club, slightly lower floor, but they're up 28% of the day, and the token is not pumped. So this is my Coffee with Captain call of the day. Never financial advice in the show. These tokens, especially these that are algorithmically tied to NFT collections, they are extremely volatile. And as much as I think Chimpster strategy could run up 20, 30%, it also could be down 20, 30% tomorrow. So please don't put any money in that you can't afford to lose. Only use disposable funds, and that you'd be okay if it does go to zero. But that said, I'm going to call it right now. I would be shocked if this is still negative come tomorrow. I think we'll see this back in the green and potentially back to all-time highs. I will say, let me see. What is the highest it's been? It got up to like 0.007. It's 0.004 now. So all-time high is like 7 million. I wouldn't be surprised if it gives that all-time high a run again. Maybe not today, but with the momentum that is building in Chimpers and Good Vibes Club. If you're not familiar with the token works, this is also two of the collections that it's their primary token. They don't have another. Not only do they not have another fungible token that they launched directly, both Good Vibes Club and Chimpers, they're on record. They've got articles and theories, like their strategy is out there. Their white paper, I'm not sure what they called them, but they're on record of this is their token. They're aligned with it. The teams are buying this token. They're not going to launch another fungible token, rather throw all their weight and support behind this and to show alignment with the community. So all that said, I do think, based on Chimp strategy is to Chimpers as Vibester is to Good Vibes Club, both NFTs up 25 to 28%. One of the tokens up 40%. The other one is down. We buy dips and we sell rips. I'm going to be buying the Chimpster dip today just on that math alone, but I very well could be wrong. Machiavelli, what am I missing here as it relates to token work and Chimpers and Vibester?
I don't know if you covered this, but Chimpers are migrating their contract over to a contract with royalties, and that includes, I believe, for the strategy token as well.
Oh, wow.
All of that's happening sometime next week. So very bullish on the route that they're going, and super excited to see things kind of kick off a little early. They announced it, I believe, on Friday during a Chimper space. But yeah, looking forward to them having a contract where they can enforce royalties. And the Chimpers and Good Vibes have been on this on a different path than most of the other collections, and it's because of the collectors and the collector market that's here in Web3. And I think that we're going to see them perform well and better over this next coming few weeks as they migrate and we see things kind of take shape.
Love it. I'm not going to share right now, but I had an exciting conversation around this exact topic. I'm not even certain if it's the same, if they're related or not, but just regarding existing legacy brands moving to royalty protected contracts, migrating to royalty protected contracts. I'm a big proponent of that. I think most, if not all, should be considering it, giving it as an option to their holder base. And excited to hear more. And we will be talking about that more coming soon. Likely, and nothing inked or fully committed to yet, but likely we do probably a sponsored segment to highlight some of this as things are. I do think it could be a big meta this cycle. At least I think it could be huge for NFT brands. And I'm not saying they should all rely on royalties as their sole revenue stream. They should be getting something. And it's part of what created the momentum in NFTs in the first place. I'm still confused as why so many people are adamantly against royalties. I think a lot of these brands should make that move. And I think for some, not that every brand's going to go out there and make millions of dollars in royalties, but for a lot of these NFT boutique brands, if they could bring in an extra 10 grand a month from royalties, that changes everything for them. And some, it's a lot more than 10 grand. I mean, there's some, I look at Moonbirds, it's probably 7 figures of royalties they bled out this year because they've not made this move. Moonbirds are up 4% of the day to 2.07. Clone X down 11%, but still at 0.36 floor. I missed the big pump there. We were talking last week, they ran up to like 0.3-ish, 0.33, but I did not realize they pushed 0.4, pulled back a little bit after the big pump. Hypers flat, Chippers, as we mentioned, up 28%. Punks are flat. V-Friends up 3%, Little Pudgies up 1%, Azuki up 2%, Mutants up 1%. And I said it, not anyone else. So respect to the Good Vibes Club and the Chipper communities out there. I don't think I've seen a single post about them flipping Mutants. So good on them. Let's end the PvP, and it should be PvE, or actually PvN. All of crypto Twitter versus Nikita is the route we should take moving forward. I kid, but not really. Miladies are down 1% to 1.19. Apes up 1%. Genuine Undead, another surprise pump here. Are they launching a token Machiavelli? Are they launching a token work strategy?
Not that I know of. But you know what? As soon as I have the news on that, Cap, I do a show every week called NFTs with Loki. I will bring that news straight to you.
Yeah, they're up 32% of the day, and Nakamigo is also up 14% of the day. Both those are now to 0.14 floor. Some pretty big moves there. Doodle's down 3%, Quirky's down 3%, Meebit's down 4%, but for the most part, a good weekend for NFTs, in particular, Good Vibes Club and Chimpers. I see an idiot is coming up here. Curious to get an idiot's take. Not an idiot, just a handle. Actually pretty sharp and big brain takes quite often. An idiot. GM, welcome to the stage. What brought you up this morning?
Hey, Jim, I'm actually pretty busy at work. I just came up to say that Genuine Undead did indeed launch a strategy coin a couple of weeks ago. Shouts out to that whole crew and them. Big fan of the Genuine Undead.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you think that's what that led to the pump over the weekend on the NFT, or anything else?
No, this was several weeks ago. I don't think the two are correlated. I just think they have a really lit community.
Cool.
Of collectors, like genuine collectors of an IP, of an old school like OG IP.
Yep. No, appreciate you sharing. I would agree. And it's one of those where, while they may not come up on stage often, I can think of several OG Genuine Undead that still rock the PFP, and they show up to the show and support us almost every day. So appreciate you all. Congrats on the pump. And thanks for sharing. Appreciate you jumping up and helping educate. Catch up on chat here real quick, and then we will get into the next topic unless anyone else has any specific market related takes. You just using Diablito says just using lists ensures you stay in your specific bubble, which also sucks. We bubbled enough already. I don't think it's too much to ask. Just I'd like to see a mix. Like, I do want to be served my bubble primarily, but if there is something that's really breaking news or some sort of like real world news event, cool. I like that. I love that part about X, but I don't need to see 87 posts about Elon being put in a bikini, or it's just like, I get that's the trending brain rot topic of the day. Serve that up to people who want the brain rot topic, the people who are engaging with that stuff. Not everyone on this app. That at the expense of not seeing accounts and people I do want to see. And I know it's new. I know it's changing. It's these LLMs are, it's I can't even begin to claim to understand the tech. It's I'm sure very challenging. So my feedback, my complaint, if you will, is not what they're doing, that things go one direction or the other. It's how they're communicating changes and the gaslighting, the dunking on power users. It's in poor taste, in my opinion. Zonko says, my unpopular opinion is that BTC reaching some crazy high number is the only thing that'll push it back to being a big global talking point on this app again. Sucks, but on the bright side, it feels like there's less scams going around because we move slower. That is definitely a side benefit. A lot less scammers when it's not the hopping community on X. Don't worry that we are not going anywhere. Eddie Crypto, one of those genuine undead out in the audience that I was referencing, says yes, genuine undead has a TokenWorks token. Thanks also for adding to that. What is this here? Not sure if it was legit, but timely. Yeah, this is legit, but they also did this once before as far as making the algo open source. I thought they did this a while back and shared like their GitHub, I believe, and it just hasn't been updated. Now maybe the difference is they're saying it'll be updated weekly, and that would be probably a positive. I also don't. I hope it's not major changes weekly, like just tweaks. And I think that's probably what I feel. My experience is this, like, instead of making just slight changes, slight tweaks, like throw this down a little bit, throw this up a little bit. It's like they're tweaking the algo on leverage is what I feel like. Like that's the best analogy I could give is like Nikita or the XAI team is using 40x leverage on every single tweak they make to the algorithm. And the experience one week can be significantly different than the experience of the week prior. And then a week from now, it'll be an entirely different experience that's unrelated to both. I think that's probably, yeah, they're leverage trading the algo adjustments. But per Elon, the algo will be made open source this week, allowing full transparency into why you're seeing posts such as this one. So, well, we're not going anywhere. We'll keep showing up. Hope they work it out. And yeah, Elon, if you happen to listen in or you have some robot listening to this stuff, fire Nikita. Banana Rat says Elon hard codes his post, so everybody is forced to see his post. Why are you lying? I'm not lying. I don't. I'll go look at Elon's post now. The guy posts like hundreds of times a day. I might see a couple Elon posts a day. I don't. I'm like looking right now. The last. So I don't see all these. I don't see all his reposts. I'll say that. Maybe I see. Like I'm scanning his timeline now. I'll do like I don't have any reason to lie about this. I don't care. So I'm not lying about what I see on X. This is Elon's timeline. I'm going to scroll until I tell you the first one I've seen before pulling up his timeline and going to his actual account. Now, because I went to his account, I'm going to blame Banana Rat because I'm probably only going to get served Elon posts the rest of the day. But I've not seen any of these posts on my timeline. And these are original Elon posts. I've not seen any of these. I'm down now 7 hours ago. So again, he posts a lot. Still haven't seen any. Yeah, I don't like. I'm not lying. I'm telling you what my experience is. I don't see any of these. Still going. I'm down. That was an original post 5 hours ago. Haven't seen it. The times I probably see an Elon post the most is if someone shares a link, whether they post in the war room or a group chat or something. I paused it. I thought I saw a rapist, but that wasn't it. Yeah, man, I don't know. I'm back already down to yesterday, and I still have not. I did see this one. Okay, so I saw this one 14 hours ago. This is the last post I saw. He quote tweeted not to be. Turns out they banned Ozempic and Lasix in the future. Not even funny. Like, do I want to see that? No. Did I get served that because it was Elon? Probably, maybe, but it's not. I definitely don't see every one of his posts. And what's hurting my experience on the timeline it's not Elon post. It's more of the other stuff that seems to be trending topic of the day. It's shifted hard. I'm not a social app or social network developer. Payne says I've literally never seen an Elon post. Yeah, others have muted and blocked Elon. Algo became a little bit better immediately. If Elon is the problem for you, I would follow Zane and mute or maybe block. That's bold, Zane. Blocking him is sure to get your account nerfed, I would think. So like I see where Banana Rat's coming from. I'm just being very honest with you. It's not what I experience on this app. Do I see some Elon posts? Yeah, sure, but maybe 1 in 10. And yeah, I don't. If you don't like seeing his stuff, mute it, and you won't have to see it. Thomas adds, if you're a reply guy, the Elon post will do numbers if you're fast enough to get. Yeah, so this is, again, as far as I know, this is the number one hack to growing your account on X. Forget what Nikita said. It is. Now, if you just hit GM in a reply, will that grow your account? Probably not. But the number one hack on X to grow your account is you simply put on your reply guy hat. The best way to do this is probably go to Twitter Pro and use the dashboard, have some lists set up, have your high volume accounts, whatever. If it's, I would say crypto Twitter, but that's seeming to get nerfed right now. So it's probably more like sports or Elon or politics, whatever you think you can add a quick witty response to. Be the first reply. You reply to a big account within seconds of them posting. If you want to go so far as like if you like sports, go follow Adam Schefter, put notifications on for Adam Schefter. And every time Schefter posts, it's a race. Be the first reply in there to reply something witty and funny. And if it ends up sticking as the top reply in the comments, you'll get thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of impressions. This has been this way, not since October last year. It's been like this as long as I can remember. Maybe it wasn't in the beginning. Like I've been on here. This has been like pre-crypto Twitter. It was my sports Twitter. I've been on here since I think 2012. And for the first decade, it was just sports. So primarily all I used it for. Then it became crypto Twitter. And from what I can remember since really, and I never like thought about growing my account pre-crypto Twitter either. But since I've like, okay, what can I do to grow my account? Like that's been the advice since then. And I don't know if it's changed. Are there other ways? Yeah. Like, articles are the meta of the current moment. So write long form articles. All that may work. You also could write a long form article and get 3 impressions. The time tested way that is hard to fail is reply guying to popular large accounts and do it fast. It's I didn't think it's a secret. It's just funny that Nikita is saying that's hurting your account, and it's just not the case. DW just says his experience isn't so bad currently. He's been a complainer. You got to engage with the post and people you're interested in. It feels like your timeline. So that's where my frustration lies. That's what I do. Like 90% of my engaging on X is with people in crypto Twitter. I'm not. Maybe. I mean, this morning I did one as a joke. It would just say I put a political post out there just to see if it is invertly correlated. And now that I made a political post, it'll start talking about it'll fix my algo and show me only crypto Twitter. It was a joke. I'm not going to start posting political takes, but I said something effective like, is it absurd to spend $3 billion remodeling the Federal Reserve? Yes. Is it absurd to spend $400 million remodeling the White House? Also, yes. I think both those are absurd spends. And then in parentheses, I put, posting political take to see if it will fix my algo back to CT in the upside down world of X. But outside of that, I don't post about, I might talk about arepas and my affection for Latinas and that sort of stuff in the war room, but I'm not out there engaging every post on Venezuela, or I don't know if I posted this. No, we're not going to go down there. We don't have time today. The stuff in Iran, it's like, it's wild. Like I'm rooting for them. It's scary stuff. It is world news that is very timely. And for as much as I'm frustrated with the current leadership at X, primarily Nikita, and how he's attempted to gaslight his power users, I'm grateful that there is a platform like this that exists where you're getting some of this stuff uncensored. Now, do I want to see people dying in the streets of Iran? No, I'm not going to tune in for that. But this is something that, for whatever reason, I don't think mainstream media is talking about, and it's a major world event. And I'm not sure if we're getting that, if not for X. So I'm grateful. I think like free speech is real. This stuff should be a thing. And I don't know. Again, I'm not the expert on anything geopolitical. I've never been to Iran, but I have empathy towards the citizens. I have empathy towards what's happening there. And I saw today on this app that they're scheduling executions this week, public executions for people who were using free speech and talking about, again, it's they want to see the major change, in fact, a government overthrown. But it's I'm not saying that stuff should be eliminated. I don't even mind seeing it every once in a while. It's just they've throttled it way too far. It's become the majority of the stuff that's fed on the app. And I think, like, I've seen some people like, oh, Kaido. Well, it's not a Kaido thing. Did that change where now people are more cognizant of what the algo is and what you have to, how you have to structure posts and what you have to talk about to get things to go viral? Yeah, maybe played a role, but I think it's much more on X and their algo than it is on Kaido or any InfoFi platform. From my opinion. I don't know. I don't have much else to add on this. If anyone does, feel free to drop it in the chat. I'll do my best to catch up. I do want to move on, though. We've got a few other topics to hit on today. Privacy coins banned in Dubai. Not really, but that's about as clickbaity a title I can get. What did get banned in Iran? See, it's the X is broken so much it's broken my brain, and it's got me. I'm trying to talk about Dubai and privacy coins, and Iran was just a Freudian slip. So redoing that. Two sides of the story here. First, you'll see from Whale Insider that says, just in, Dubai bans privacy tokens and tightens stablecoin rules as part of the broader reset of its crypto regulatory framework. This is not correct. This is an inaccurate headline. Maybe it's clickbaity. Maybe they didn't know. Maybe they didn't understand. You see Mert's the first reply here. Incorrect. DIFC regulated privacy coins for companies in their framework, not individuals. DIFC is one zone in Dubai out of several. The same regulations already exist in Europe and some of Asia. TLDR bait, individuals unaffected. That's exactly where I was going to go next. Is he follows that up with, you'll see a bunch of engagement bait regarding, see the title? You'll see a bunch of engagement bait regarding, I have to bait for engagement now because Nikita broke our algo. I apologize. I'm not an engagement baiter, but every once in a while I have to. Wise, you fell off the stage too. If you want to get back up during the conversation, I'd love to get your thoughts on this. You may have to leave the room, check for an X update, and then come back. That's what I had to do to get the coffee account on stage. It was needing of an X update. So check that and leave, maybe force close the app and come back. Throw in the request. I'd love to have you join this combo. Oxy, excited to get to you here in a second. He goes on to say, Merck goes on to say, it was mostly bait. The Dubai banning privacy coins. There was a thing. This was already a thing in Vara, not new. This is for companies, part of the DIFC, which is, I wrote it down. It is the Dubai International Finance Center, not individuals. So companies are no longer able to use privacy coins. Probably good. So it's only for firms, not individuals or self-custody. It's not a possession ban. The prohibition is on regulated activities in or from the DIFC, financial services, promotions, and public affairs. Probably a good thing. And at the end of the day, I'm not going to say it's a nothing burger, but relative to the sensationalist headlines, it's a nothing burger. Would you agree, Oxy?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I don't think it really changes much of anything. I mean, obviously you want more, traditional institutions or traditional money coming in to use tokens and crypto like this. But at the end of the day, I know we've talked about this before. Like if no one knows where your money's, like if a company's using this for sending money to places, like no government in the history of the world is going to be happy or okay with that. So, I mean, I think this was always kind of implied. So yeah, nothing burger to me.
Yep. Agreed. Not a true nothing burger, but at least in terms of like the headlines you'll see, it's primarily nothing burger. Not, at least not as big of a deal as some might think. Oh, it's Zcash and Monero is going to zero. Monero is actually ripping today. I think Zcash was down slightly, but definitely not a nothing burger. Now, since you're up here, Ox, we're going to pivot right into the Clarity Act, which I think you might have a take or two on as well. Coinbase threatens to withdraw support from the Clarity Act if it restricts stablecoin rewards beyond disclosure requirements per Bloomberg. This is a pretty big deal, where you would think when the Stablecoin Act first got announced, the Clarity Act rather, a lot of excitement. We're finally getting positive regulation. We're probably getting some guardrails, and this is going to be crypto's moment. I think the title over on YouTube and the other distribution channels is stablecoins the meta for 2026. I still kind of think that. This is interesting. Oxy, are you well versed to speak exactly what's going on and why Coinbase is starting to withdraw their support for this? Sorry to put you on the spot.
Yeah. No. Happy to talk about it. So what's going on right now is basically the banking lobbyists are pushing for some amendments to the Clarity Act that would disallow or like have an amendment that specifically disallow issuers from giving back yield from the stablecoins to the holders of said stablecoins. This is already in there. It's just basically the banks just want more control over what's around this, this act and what it actually means for the financial industry as a whole. So the banks are basically like suggesting like, oh, stablecoins are going to crush capital markets, like credit markets are going to go away because everyone's going to be holding stablecoins instead of going to these banks, and a lot of stuff around that. So essentially Coinbase is essentially doing is, stepping away and being like, look, we don't want these changes made to it because it's not in the ethos of stablecoins, and obviously the banks hate stablecoins. I mean, it's if you think about what a stablecoin is as it relates to like the traditional financial markets, it's a debit based system rather than a credit based system, right? Because if you deposit dollars into Circle, for instance, and they give you USDC, that is backed 1-to-1 by a treasury bill. There's no gap in between what's being spent and what's being held on the back end. So it's a debit based financial instrument. And that's what the banks, traditionally run on. Obviously there's, credit cards and stuff like that, which is separate. But at the end of the day, the banks are worried about this debit-based tradition, like this financial vehicle coming in and taking a lot of their deposits from the banking infrastructure. So that's kind of the ethos of it. We can get into it a little bit more as to what that means for distributing the underlying yield that's associated with the stable coins. But I guess any additional thoughts there or questions on what I just said?
The not to TLDR it, but the TLDR would be, it seems, at least from my perspective, and educated, but really not deeply educated on this topic, not deeply educated on congressional topics. It seems as if this is simply like, to TLDR, it's big banks are lobbying against this bill because it's a competitive threat, right? Like see if this gets passed, and Circle and Coinbase are able to share interest income from reserves backing that USDC, and USD balances held on Coinbase are a meaningful revenue stream, especially in down markets. It's like, why would you bank with a traditional bank? Why would you put your hard-earned money in a savings account with a US dollar that is going to be worth less a year from now than it is today, most likely, and not earn anything on that when there's now, do we need this today to earn yield on our stables? No, but they're making this as proposed. They're trying to get a limit or maybe a ban on rewards paid by platforms to users who hold stablecoins like USDC on exchange. They're saying, oh, you're going to have to jump through hoops, go farm your yield in DeFi protocols, not on exchanges, because if you can do it on exchanges, we're going to lose a lot of our deposit business. That's kind of crappy. Like, let me ask you this: how do you think this thing nets out? Do you think we see? I think I saw that they're supposed to be later this week. They're going to mark it up again. Do you think it goes through as currently written? Do you think we see major changes at the end of the day? Do you think the Clarity Act will pass and Coinbase able to offer rewards to their users who are holding stablecoins on their exchange or any other exchanges for that matter?
Yeah, so I think Clarity Act will pass. I don't think a company like a Coinbase or someone outside of an issuer like a Circle will be able to pass along those yields as it stands now. So like at that, like Funky said it really well this morning. Like everyone wants the Clarity Act and everything that goes along with it to be passed. So there's more. I mean, obviously Coinbase is making a stand and they're a huge player, but for the most part, people want this Clarity Act passed. So there's some clear-cut regulations on what can and can we not do as it relates to crypto, as it relates to stable coins, and everything that goes along with that. So I think there's like a lot of pressure to put this through, and then like maybe down the line they're like, okay, let's revisit and let's figure out a way that we can find a middle ground between the banks and then these stable coins to handle this yield, and what's that really mean for the user? What does that really mean for the banks and the third parties? Because there's just so much good in the Genius Act or the Clarity Act as it relates to disclosures and requirements for issuers and building trust in the traditional markets and with its users, that I think they'll push it through even with these caveats that people don't like, and then revisit it later to try and just iron it out and find a middle ground.
That's kind of how I net out as well. Be my guess is I think it probably does get pushed through with the idea of we'll make changes later. It's also kind of concerning, right? It's also kind of like, yeah, they could say that and then the changes never come, and what are we even accomplishing here? How are we better off than where we were before? The regulation is, I would say, overreaching, and why not? Like, what is even is there a rational case as to like, oh, this is bad, you should not let Coinbase share rewards with their users who are holding stables on their, like, why not? Other than, oh, it's going to take business away from trad banks. Like, what's the consumer risk to being able to earn yield on your stables on exchanges?
Yeah, exactly. Nothing, right? I mean, if a company wants to incentivize users by, passing along some of their revenue and their profits by the way of yield like this, I don't think there's a single consumer risk. I'm actually you asking that question makes me really curious what's the argument there.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, like, I'm assuming it's just like, oh, it's going to destroy credit markets and stuff. And there was a post before, I think this was last week. Let me make sure I get his name right, because Alexander Grieve is his name. He put out a long thread about just for some context, he's the VP of Government Affairs at Paradigm. It sounds like he does a ton of stuff around stable coins, but he was going through and like they've done a bunch of different research and posted the research on how it doesn't impact credit markets. It actually helps credit markets. So I think the arguments that they're making completely bypass consumer risk and more so focus on like the traditional infrastructure around finance and the risks associated there, which by the sounds of it don't have a ton of merit. So I'm going to look into that a little bit more today, I think, because I'm curious, like what's the main argument that they're pitching to Congress or whoever that's like, look, this is threatening the consumer, if any, because by the sounds of it now, it doesn't sound like there's any consumer risk, at least that I can think of.
Right. Yeah, I'm not sure if I was familiar with Alexander. I just quickly pulled up his account here. I'll read off a few posts that these aren't his original posts. This is a repost here. It says Congress's current market structure deliberations will shape the next decade of U.S. financial innovation. I was in D.C. this week, my first trip in 10 years. I even bought a new suit. As the market structure bill comes together, parts of the Genius Act are being relitigated, especially when and how Stablecoin economics can be shared. Two things matter. Issuers like Bridge must be able to share economics with developers. Two, developers must be free to use those economics to build better products for consumers and businesses. Prescriptive regulations that restrict either will foreclose decades of innovation. If we regulated aviation based on the first gliders, we would never have built jets. Good, maybe not a little aggressive analogy, but good analogy. This is not a niche crypto issue. We started Bridge because we believe stablecoins could be the next great financial platform. Stables could change the payments landscape, much like credit cards over the past 3 decades. I agree with that statement. And we're just starting to see the green shoots. Our use case includes remittance companies, enterprises like SpaceX simplifying treasury operations, AI platforms like Scale AI, global networks or global neobanks, even the US government dispersing aid with stablecoins. Like for many reasons, I am pro good stablecoin regulation and adoption. There's a few others here. Alex is probably Alexander Grieve. I'll post one of his original posts up top. So if you want to go follow and read up more on this after the show, you can. Here's another one. He says, decentralized finance scares big financial institutions in the surveillance state. With DeFi, you could cut out middlemen, lower costs, protect privacy. In short, DeFi helps defend freedom so that they want to kill it. Keep calm, defend freedom, protect self-custody. I have another thought. Remind me to come back to credit cards here in a second. This is from Hayden Adams, the CEO founder of Uniswap, says a group named Investors for Transparency are running public ads plus lobbying to kill DeFi, the most transparent financial system on earth. Ironic but unsurprising, their site does not disclose who funds them. Deserves a Promethean-style deep dive for the crypto industry. And a few more. I'm just looking for one direct from Alexander. I'll pin it up top. I'll come back to that. I will grab one here in a minute, but there's one. I just saw it here. So this came out on January 7th. So a little, last week. I'll put it up top. So you got one directly from Alexander, because very well versed on the topic. One of the people doing the work to help get this stuff approved in a positive light for us. It's not me. I'm not the one, but for anyone that is like really passionate about this stuff, for anyone that's going to, I don't know, email or call their representative, is like, what could someone listen and they like, I want to help. Is there anything they could do? Is it too late at this point? Like any advice for anyone listening is like, I'd like to help.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, so I'll be completely honest. I've never called my senator and never helped try to push for any specific regulation, but I know Funky's a huge proponent of that. And calling your senator or writing them, I think there's emails that you can email to as well. Just to push this forward, just be like, clearly adoption of stablecoins, at least in my eyes, is going to be a huge way forward for crypto mass adoption. Now, I think it's a gateway drug into, other crypto products like DeFi and things like that. But stablecoins being an easy, fast, transparent, and cheap way to transfer money around the world just is such an incredible use case for cryptocurrency, and stablecoins being like at the center of that, I think is going to be a massive way to onboard people to crypto. So I think, calling your senator, telling them that like to push through the Genius Act, even if it is as is, I think then I think there's two battles. One, getting Genius and getting clarity on what's going on, or clarity, and then getting I'm saying clarity so many times, getting clarity on what's okay with crypto and what's allowed with crypto, and then pushing a second time to get more autonomy for these companies like a Coinbase or what have you to give out yield or give up rewards back to their users. I think there's going to be two battles there, because I just don't think the banks are too strong to give up this battle this first time when we're so close to the finish line to get this across the finish line.
Yep, I agree. Well said. And part of me, is even though I know it's not in its perfect form, I'm kind of torn on this, because part of me thinks, get the thing approved, get it, getting it approved, even in a non-great form, gets us closer to the finish line than not getting approved and going back to the drawing board from ground one. I could be very wrong there. I'm open to be convinced either way. This is where I'm kind of torn. Is the current wording great? No. Is it better to have this passed than it to be not passed. I think maybe yes. It's crypto scam one in the chat adds. First says it's true, but stablecoins can't be stopped now. So banks have been positioning themselves for this to happen behind the scenes for months and years now. Big banks, though, through groups like American Bankers Association and state banking associations, are lobbying against aspects of the Digital Asset Market Clarity Act, often called the Clarity Act, that could enable and expand yield-bearing stablecoins without stringent restrictions. The fact that banks are worried about something not being fair is rich, right? Their primary concerns revolve around protecting traditional banking revenue streams and preventing what they see as unfair competition from crypto platforms. This is like probably a Captain Obvious type moment. Oxy, why wouldn't banks just get on board and launch their own stablecoin? I mean, I believe I know the answer, but why fight so hard against this and not just compete with the startups, in the case Coinbase and the other crypto companies, that they dwarf in terms of assets under management, in terms of clout and history and customer base? Like, why not just get on board and embrace the stablecoins and rewards?
Yeah, that's what any good business would do, right? Like if they're getting edged out by a competitor, or a competitor, some kind of competitive alternative comes onto the scene, they adapt and adopt and move to be a better player in the space. But I mean, I think we all know how the traditional finance, especially when it comes to banking, moves. It's incredibly slow. It does not adopt. I mean, the fact that I can't even deposit money over, or I have to go into my bank to to pull out X amount of dollars, and even then I can't pull out X amount of dollars without asking them a week ahead of time so they can have the cash on hand. And there's just so many things that the traditional banking system is so behind on. Them adopting stable coins, I mean, it would take them eons to even get remotely close to being able to do this right, in my opinion. So I think that's a huge part, is they're like, okay, well, if we push out this change for as long as we possibly can, then maybe we can adapt to where we can offer these types of things, but it's going to be years and years and years down the line. And I think that's the biggest issue, is they just can't move fast enough, and they refuse to move fast enough to adopt new technology and new changes that are better for the consumer.
Yeah, well said. I'm going to do a quick inception share of the abstract chat here, because crypto scam one is bringing the big brain shakes. I agree. This probably sums it up well. They would rather squash this first and then release their own. Big banks don't want competition; they want everything. I think that's probably part of it. Is easier to kill this, gives them more time to launch their own, as opposed to Inception is inceptioning today. I love it. Go ahead and get back in here, and I will. What's curious to me about the Inception is it keeps going deeper, right? Like, I don't understand how this works. Like, it's not just sharing the abstract screen. If you're on video here, you're seeing levels to this thing. I don't know how I do it other than just doing a screen share, but if you've never seen Inception, that's the alpha today. Go watch Inception. Great movie. Oxy, go ahead and get back in here.
Yeah, and like one thing that so obviously, so Clarity does have in there is that issuers can't give those rewards back to the holders. So like if a bank issued their own stablecoin, they wouldn't be, under the current way that Clarity is, they wouldn't be able to give back some of that yield to the holders. But a third party who does earn yield on, I guess, holding those stables, which it's like, it sounds counterintuitive. So I'm going to have to like brush up on what does that actually mean. Would be able to give it off, give that yield back to holders. So what's weird to me is like the banks come in, they say, hey, like Coinbase, who doesn't issue their own stablecoin, you can't give yield to holders. But then banks do the exact same thing with dollars. So if they issued their own stablecoin, which people have talked about, different banks have talked about issuing their own stablecoins before, wouldn't they want to be able to give out some of that yield to holders, similar to how they're already doing their banking system? It's just so convoluted and confusing that I think exactly what that chatter was just saying. Like, if they squash this here, they can kind of like buy themselves some more time. To kind of get on board with what's going on here.
And it's not like we don't have precedent. To your point, like banks offer rewards today. Like, what's the difference in getting yield on a stablecoin versus yield on your US dollars in your bank account? It's the same thing, right? It's just the difference is you might get like 0.5% interest on a checking or savings account if you're lucky. And I shouldn't say that. There are several. I had a credit union checking account before I started getting on-chain yield that was like 3%. Can't remember the name of it. It got acquired a couple times. But I actually think it started as a teacher's federal credit union, believe it or not. And even though I wasn't a teacher, I was eligible because I lived had an address in the home market of it. That's a whole nother, I don't understand how credit unions work, but that's another conversation for another day. I remember going to date myself here, and I don't know if they're still a thing. ING Direct, is that still, are they still in, I mean, ING Group is still a thing, but ING Direct was one of the first that I can remember, was one of the first to go like online bank, to go direct to consumer. You didn't go to a bank. You could do everything online. And they were offering, okay, yeah, they did. They got acquired by Capital One. That's why I couldn't know if they were still around. So that became, so ING Direct got acquired by Capital One, got rebranded as Capital One 360 between November of 2012 and February 2013. So prior to 2012, ING Direct was paying like 3-4% interest on your online savings accounts. Most traditional banks, though, would do like less than 1%. There are opportunities out there. In fact, that credit union I mentioned, they touted themselves as the best bank in the country as far as their interest, your yield on savings go. It's just the exception, not the norm. But the bigger point being like, this isn't new. It's not like banks don't offer rewards for their deposit customers. It's just such a smaller percentage than the yield you can get on chain or with stables. Crypto Scam does want to add, by the way, I'm not a scammer. My name is from the Inside Joke with friends and family from 2018. When I first got into crypto, they used to always say it was a scam, so I made my name. I didn't think you were a scammer, but appreciate the clarity. Crypto Scam or one that's not a scammer. Go ahead, Oxy.
Yeah, and so talking about banks with giving decent yield back to users. So there's like a couple of online banks that I've used that have like high interest savings accounts. Like Prime Alliance is one that I think they're offering like 3.5% or something like that right now. So there's good ways, and there's banks that are doing, like, I feel like doing good by their customers by giving some good offerings back to their users. But yeah, I mean, like we've talked about a million times, it's like stable coins and this digital currency that's cheap and fast and so much easier to use when paying cross-border payments. It just makes so much more sense, and I just wish we could move like better. We could move better through this industry and through this space. Because imagine like American banks adopting stable coins to where when I like move to Europe and I'm living there, I can transfer money from my bank to my bank in Europe, like as much money as I want in seconds. It's just like, why wouldn't we adopt that? And how much better that would be for companies that are making cross-border payments. Like, I just don't understand it. It just feels so counterintuitive to me.
I agree. Couple other topics, but this one's probably closer related before we jump into what South Korea is doing. We also have the rec drinks thing. I just did a quick Google search on best online checking accounts in January 26. This is from Best Money. So just to give you kind of like an idea, if you're not, it's not something you track, or you're like, man, I've never gotten interest on my checking. SoFi, 0.5%. This is our best online checking accounts in January 26. So it's a current article, last updated this month. So within the last 2 weeks, number one on the list, you get 0.5% APY. Could you imagine a new stablecoin launches, a new DeFi protocol launches, and they're touting 0.5% APY? They beat DOA. I'm sure you could probably find some greater than that. This is also probably a paid list somewhere, or they at least have affiliate links. But the bonuses, the stuff isn't APY in most cases. It's things like, oh, you get free overdraft up to $200. There's no minimum or fees. Imagine getting charged a minimum or fee on your wallet because you didn't hold enough stables in it. Like, traditional banking really is broken. I'm not going to go on a banking rant here, but it's almost laughable when you look at like, oh, these are their leading offers. Most of them are like, oh, you deposit, open up an account, you get a $300 cash bonus that unlocks over 7 years. A little bit of exaggeration, but you have $15 a month monthly account fee, but you have to average $5,000 daily cash balance. Like, just kind of crazy if you think about what, like, I don't hold a lot of, I hold enough just to make sure that the bills get paid and there's no issues with checking, but I don't hold a lot of fiat in TradFi bank accounts, because why would I? There's like fractions of percent is I don't even know what the current is, but it's not much. Every once in a while I'll get you got your interest payment last month, and it was like $6.90. It would be like a good month. Most is just your initial balance, or you get a bonus for opening an account, no fees. But yeah, the APY is usually pretty low, if any. The other thing that I mentioned is kind of related to this, but we're talking about end users and banking. Is last week it came out, I think it was Friday, maybe it was over the weekend, where Trump called for a 10% credit card or interest cap on credit cards. There's some debate whether that can actually happen or not. I don't think it's going to be by executive order. Might there be some pressure applied to get some of these banks to bring down their interest rate? Sure. Most of those are going to be impacted. First of all, it's not going to be Visa, MasterCard. In fact, I said if they sell off today on this news, market just opened, so I'll go check. I might be a buyer, because MasterCard, I don't think would be impacted by this probably at all, nor would Visa. They're not really the ones charging interest. And yeah, it's down 2% today. So not a huge MasterCard, that is 2% at open. Visa is down 2.3% today. So if they end up dipping further, if they go down 5-10%, I might buy just for see if we can get a quick flip in the TradFi equity game. But the banks that probably are more impacted, I mentioned earlier, Capital One 360, like Capital One, any that if their core demographic or large demographic, I should say, is one that focuses on subprime or riskier customers, riskier borrowers, they're likely to be hit the hardest if there's higher interest rates. I've also seen some pretty detailed takes that this could actually be bad for consumers, because it would theoretically could eliminate credit card rewards for some companies, because a lot of those rewards are paid for by their higher end customers get these big rewards that are funded by the subprime customers that are paying 20-30% interest. I guess it's good that consumers in their banking is being like, a leading topic. It's good that we're talking about change. It's been broken for a long time. I think banking shouldn't say broken. It's been primed for disruption for a long time. For everything you mentioned earlier, like even simply like if I wanted to send Oxy, let's say, I think it triggers at over 10 grand. If I wanted to send Oxy $15,000 today, I could do that on chain in quite literally a matter of seconds. If I wanted to do it through a traditional bank, I'm going to have to go to a branch. I'm going to have to provide all sorts of identification. It's going to be a process. I'm going to have to pay probably like $35, and he'll get it in a couple of business days. That's just transfer. I don't mean talk about payments or process anything or interest. Just simply the ability to move funds is archaic. Now, if you want to just a small, quick transfer, most banks today, I think, have something like Zelle or some sort of transfer where you should be able to do it almost instantaneously. But if you want to transfer a large amount, good luck. Good luck getting it done in real time or not paying any fees on it. The crypto scam ad, it's been broken since Woodrow Wilson signed the Federal Reserve Act in 1913. That's the opportunity to talk about the $3 billion remodeling, which I do believe is probably ridiculous. I don't understand why we're spending $3 billion. I'm not saying it's fraudulent. I'm not saying Powell deserves to be investigated. I don't know, nor do I really care. I do think it's absurd that we're spending more on a Federal Reserve building than almost every stadium on the planet. Stadiums that host 80 to 100,000 people. I think the only one that's cost more than $3 billion has been SoFi Stadium, one of the newest ones in LA. It's just, and like, oh, they had to remove asbestos. And well, how about build a new stadium? Build a new Federal Reserve then. Like, build a new building. This isn't a skyscraper or anything. It's just a building. Now, I know there's some underground stuff, and I'm sure it's not cheap, but $3 billion is a lot of money to build office space and place to store gold. Anyways, I digress. Not going to go off on that rant any more than I just did. But the other thing related to crypto and banking before we get into the rec drinks announcements and then any catch-all topics on the day, this was also in the news. South Korea lifting a ban on corporate crypto investment, allowing listed companies to invest up to 5% of equity in top 20 cryptocurrencies, ending a 2017 restriction. I'm not a huge fan on like the DAT model. I do think when you talk about strategic reserves, not used as a financial instrument to pump a stock price, but rather a way to diversify treasuries and reserves, I'm for this. Like, companies should be able to have Bitcoin on their balance sheet, or ETH, or Solana, or Hyperliquid, or whatever they want to put on their balance sheet. I don't think they should be restricted to that. I don't see the harm, especially doing it reasonably. And I'm by no means a South Korean expert, but I think it's a lot of this, assuming the Clarity Act, the Genius Act goes through semi-good. It's exciting to think that something banking that's been what we can debate on, is it broken, or is it not optimal? I think we most would agree it's not optimal, the current banking system. I think the thing that most of us could agree, it's not really changed much in a long time, in decades, if not longer, right? Like, what's different about banking today since the advent of debit cards in the ATM machine, which probably more than half the people listening to the show today, you've had debit cards and ATM machines your entire life. I remember, I want to say in like the maybe late 80s, without Googling this and finding when they became a thing. Like, I was old enough at one point, you actually had to go to a physical bank to pull out cash in my lifetime. Now, maybe they're like New York City might have had ATMs and debit cards before they hit southeastern Ohio and out in the country. But yeah, when I was a kid, I remember like I'd get some, my grandma would send me $5 in a birthday card, and I'd go put it in the bank in my savings account. If I wanted to get that out, I actually had to go to the physical bank to withdraw my money. And then ATMs became a thing. And but outside of ATMs and debit cards, like for your average consumer, where you're just talking about saving funds and using funds to transact, for as much as technology has evolved and how so many other ways to send funds, to pay, things like, I think of, like I mentioned, like Venmo and Zelle, and these startups have made it easier to send and receive funds. It's made it easier to transact. You got things like Apple Pay. But as far as like the traditional banks, it really haven't changed much in decades. Like, it's really is primed for disruption, and it feels like this might actually be somewhat of a tipping point this year. Hopefully it's good, but it feels like real change is coming to banks. And some may not like this. Some are like, oh, well, crypto is meant to be anti-bank or anti-institution. Whatever. I'm not a purist in the sense that everything needs to be decentralized, everything needs to be off chain. Some of it, sure. I appreciate the ability to have self-custody. I also think if we're talking truly disrupting society and changing how things are done on a global scale or even a national scale, then these banks are going to get on board. So I hope that it is in a good way, not a restrictive way, not an over-regulated way, but one that really is good for the customer, good for the end user. Thomas adds, I opened his first savings account with his grandpa. I remember getting a checkbook. Yeah, same. Checkbook, for those you Zoomers and Gen Alpha, you actually, when you couldn't go to an ATM and withdraw cash or pay with a credit card or debit card, you had to actually handwrite a check. like when's the last time you saw even someone write a check? I can't. I want to say maybe been a decade. But yeah, you'd be like after the like debit cards started taking off and all the kids, everyone was using debit cards exclusively. No one was writing checks except you'd be at a grocery store waiting to check out, and there's some 80-year-old grandpa or grandma, they're paying with their groceries with a check. Man.
I was a cashier at a grocery store, and dude, the amount of older ladies that would come through and write a check for the groceries, and I mean, like, damn, it's been a minute since I've seen a check, but it was more often than you'd think at the grocery store. Even back in probably 2013, 2014.
Almost exclusively the older generation, though, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it would be an older lady. She'd just come through with her checkbook, and she'd write a check for it, and then I'd have to. Dude, there was like this machine that would process the checks on, like, it would basically uh create a copy and scan it to like our system in the back, and then we'd have to manually process the checks in the back. And I would be like, oh shit, let me see if I can remember how to use this damn thing, because it was ancient. It was like an ancient check processing machine that we had at each till or whatever. So yeah, oh man, that brought me back.
Yeah, I was trying to think, because I remember accepting checks when I was a retailer for a while, and I started franchising in 2008. So they were definitely still a thing in 2008, and then we stopped taking checks. Like, wasn't even an option because it got to a point, like, I don't remember the exact specifics, but I want to say like 4 out of the last 5 checks we took were fraudulent checks, or just people committing crimes. It was just like we hit a point in society where no one was using checks unless they were doing it to steal funds. We even had those things too, like the other reason we stopped taking it was like, hey, we're getting defrauded, and you had to buy equipment that was a few $100s to validate if the check was valid, and then even it only worked like half the time. So yeah, it was a very archaic system. I'll double down on my take though. Since the migration away from checks and paper checks to debit cards, credit cards, etc., Apple Pay, I can't, like, big banking has been pretty stale. Like, hasn't been much from the. I know there's maybe new products and there's additional things they can do, but as far as like your average user just using big banks to save and to transact, it's been it's prime for disruption. And hopefully we come out on the positive side of this. I do think this could be a major pivotal year in not just stable coins, as the YouTube title states, but I think it could be a major year for banking improving for most consumers, and maybe credit card rates play a role in that. I'm not expecting anything on actual credit interest getting capped or anything anytime in the near future, but it's at least talking points. It's at least a focus point, and hopefully I'll tell you this. I think if there is a big bank, and I think they all mostly lobby together, but if there is a big bank that breaks from that group, if there's a big bank that says, you know what, I don't want to kill this. I don't want to stifle innovation. I'm going to join Coinbase's side of the team, and we're going to push for positive changes to this bill, and we're going to embrace it. We're going to adopt it. We're going to lean into this new world where our users should be earning 3, 4, 5% APY on their savings, not 0 to 0.5%. They're going to, again, I'm not in banking. This is not my forte by any means. But if I was advising one, that's why I'd say, hey, at least consider this. At least look at being like the one that zigs when the others zag. All these big banks are trying to not, because it seems so obvious to the layman. Because it seems like, again, as someone who I can kind of speak like a layman because I'm not deep in banking, it seems so obvious to me. The only reason banks would be pushing back against this or having this language as proposed is because it negatively impacts their margins. It opens the door for companies like Coinbase to steal more of their customer base because they're offering a better product. Well, if it seems so obvious, then you would think there's also merit that if one of these big banks, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, it's probably someone more likely like a Capital One or someone that's, yes, a big bank, but they're not the legacy institutions that have been around for hundreds of years, rather the semi-newer modern, the semi, like, within the last, let's say, 50 years, they became a thing. I think it's probably more likely you see one of those that's a little more avant-garde, a little more cutting edge that could do it. But I think they could potentially capture a significant amount of market share if they came out and said, like, imagine if 6 months from now you have all these banks that, like that list we just had pulled up where SoFi was number one because they get 0.5% APY. Fast forward next year, January, and like the top two on that list are SoFi now offers 5% APY. Capital One's offering 6.69% APY. Your average user doesn't have to think, and oh, by the way, yeah, we're just going to convert your US dollars into a USDC, or we're going to convert your US dollars into USD Capital One. Whatever they create their own stablecoin, whatever they use, man, like it doesn't, like, you don't have to be tech savvy. You don't have to be in finance. You don't have to be in crypto to understand. Bank A is offering me 0 to 0.5%. Bank B is offering me 5 to 6%. I'm going with Bank B. And is that impacting the bank's margins? Absolutely. But to me, it's like, this is the Blockbuster Netflix analogy. Like, it's happening, whether you like it or not. We're not going to be mailing in DVDs and going back and getting late fees on forgetting to return our VHS at a Blockbuster for much longer. Like, the world is going streaming, just like I do believe the world is going on chain. These big banks are it's either going to happen slow or it's going to happen fast. And I think that it's in the range of outcomes that if one of these big traditional banks decides to embrace it instead of fight it, I think they could stand to gain a lot of market share. They could stand to win against the other incumbents, not just the Coinbase of the world. Thoughts on that, Oxy? And then we'll move on to the last topic of the day.
I think it's really interesting. And I guess I also, I'm curious what would happen to like lending in things of that nature, like commercial lending and things of that nature. So like, obviously banks make a lot of their money from lending to, like, taking the money that you deposit and lending it out to, other people through mortgages or to commercial folks that need debt to build out a building or buy capex or buy inventory or whatever it might be. So what happens to the rates as it relates to debt? And obviously there's probably some kind of crossroads here that, like, obviously the money that they're making on the money that's in the form of a stable coin from treasury bills and stuff like that makes up for a little bit of that difference between what they're giving to consumers now versus then, or like now being super small to then after stablecoin adoption being 4% or whatever it is, 5%. What happens to lending at that point? I guess I haven't thought through that whole process, that whole like scenario fully. It just kind of popped into my head when you were talking. Does that cause rates to increase significantly there?
Maybe causes rates to increase. I think it's more of I know I'm biased. I can admit that I'm biased. I truly believe if these big banks embrace blockchain technology, they come on chain, they embrace stable coins. The earlier, I don't remember one of those posts I pulled up, like, this is like the next 10 years is we're primed for a financial revolution or banking. I don't remember the words I used, but I do agree with that, because I think it's way more than just, are we going to earn more on our savings? Are we going to get better yield? That is like a bare, like, that's like step one. That's like the most basic thing that banks could do. Deposits. That's happening today. We see that happening. I think, and it's no secret that banks are making money on your deposits. Like, they are today. Like, you put money in a bank, it's not all there. You might be FDIC insured up to $250K, but your money's not, all that money's not in the bank. They go and they use that money. They go make money using your money. I'm not saying they shouldn't. Banks have to make money. It's just, there is an opportunity for it to be a little more fair and equitable, a sliver of that, a little larger sliver going to the end user. But I think beyond earning on your deposits, I think like lending is probably one of the biggest things that gets unlocked. And forget it for a minute whether you pay more or you pay less in terms of your interest rate. I actually think it's more of your ability to collateralize assets becomes so much easier. Like, Oxy's up here, so I'm just going to put him on the spot and ask a question. If you don't want to answer this, by all means, feel free to say no comment. Have you ever attempted to pull liquidity out of a vehicle you owned?
No, I haven't. No.
Have you ever?
I imagine it's incredibly difficult, though.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Have you ever? I've not. Many years ago, like I can't remember. It was, yeah, it's a long story. I'm not going to share, but it was basically I was in a cash crunch for a business, and it was like we got hit with something wasn't expected, and I was like, well, shit, I need like 10 grand before Monday to make sure payroll clears. This is like 2008 maybe. Small business, really small, grinding it, and it was a big unexpected deduction. So it left me scrambling because payroll had processed it, and it was we were running basically check to check on a monthly basis, and I was like, well, shit, what do I could go take a loan out of my car, and I looked into it. The process back then, and maybe things have changed, but basically my options then were to go to like the equivalent of a pawn shop, like a payday loan place, and they would have given me like if my car was worth 20 grand, I could have gotten $10,000 like 7-day turn, and I would have paid like it would have cost me $3,000 to get a $10,000 loan that I would have paid off in 7 days. I'm making up numbers, but it was something extreme. It was very difficult. It was basically like your options to pull liquidity out of an asset that you own is like go to a pawn shop or a payday loan place. That's not good, right? You think about homes, like the biggest asset at least a lot of Americans might own might be their home. I know home equity line of credits is not a new thing. People have probably taken, actually, I don't think I've actually ever taken a home equity line of credit, but it's not an uncommon thing, right? Even though I've not done one, my understanding is you're still talking space like you got to go get a mortgage. Like you're talking all kinds of documentation, all kinds like, listen, here's my asset. You know that I own it. Just let me tap into the liquidity a little bit. Maybe these aren't like a car and a house aren't the best examples, but dude, you can't tell me it's easier for me. Like think how crazy this is. In the year 2026, right now, this instant, within minutes, I could go get a loan on my PFP, this digital asset. I could go get, I have no idea what the floor price is, 5 times 3, it's like 15 grand. I could go get a 5,000 peg, but I can't go get one on my brand new car. Like think about that. It's easier for me to get a loan on my JPEG than it is on a new Tesla. That's broken, right? Any other any traditional assets that you have pulled liquidity out of, Oxy? Might have lost him. Showing unmuted on my end, but might have ran into a glitch there. I was trying to catch up with chat here. I'm not sure what I did to get Dort and Von Frontenal excited a little while ago, but they were talking coffee with Captain. We'll maybe I was mentioning upcoming sponsor. We will work to bring back coffee with Captain. In fact, the next DM I'll send when I get off the space today is I'll reach out to our friends over at Beezy and see what we can get done there. Here's I do have one other news item I want to hit on, but as I'm doing this, I'm gonna fly through the War Room updates. Mayhem added Sailor strategy buys 13,000 Bitcoin worth $1.2 billion. I'd missed that announcement because Nikita is nerfing anything crypto related on my X. I can't. I'll stop jabbing here tomorrow. Join the Walrus on Markets. Not sure what that is, but looks like Markets is new home for trading global assets. My question, Mayhem, can I trade the Caracas Stock Exchange yet? That's what I really, because this is a true ask. When I first called it out on this app, on this show, the Caracas stock market in Venezuela was up 17% following the capture of Maduro. It's now up way over 2x. It's up like triple digits, over 100%. And so my paper trading would have worked, although I'm sure I could have probably bought the wrong stock that went to zero, but I would have done that. I would have bought whatever their equivalent of the S&P 500 is and would be up bigly. So yeah, please let me know. Can I trade the Caracas Stock Exchange? It looks like you can trade oil and energy. It's a hyperliquid platform by Kinetic. Ooh. Mayhem, go drop your referral in I'll get it actually. I'm going to pin this up top. This is I'm not seeing your there. I don't see your ref link. If you could drop your ref link either in this chat or in the war room, I'll pin that up top for calling it to our attention. But I'll be checking this out. Fan of Hyperliquid, fan of Kinetic, and I will explore a little further. JP Morgan just said they plan to expand its JPM coin, JPMD, to Canton Network. Man, Canton is one. We got to talk Canton here soon. They are in the news seemingly every day. It's just institutional news, and it's not like probably the most exciting for a lot of people here. But I would be remiss if we don't talk about Canton sometime soon. So if anyone has a good, actually, I have a connect. I'll work my. I will see. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no worries, Oxy. I will see if I can get. I mean, if anyone does have an in for the Canton team, let me know. If not, I have a. I will. I'll see what I can do, but we definitely need to get Canton on here. That ref link isn't working. When I click it, Mayhem, it looks like the generic one. It's just unless you are the walrus, is that your? I doubt that's your thing. If your user account is the walrus, that's the ref link it's giving me. It just doesn't look like an actual ref link code. But if we can get that sorted, I'll gladly pin it up top here before we take off. Two more things. One, shout out to Drew, Drew Security, NFT Drew. Always a legend, always keeping us safe. In fact, this guy probably does more to keep crypto users safe than a lot of the wallets out there. Not talking about like actual security baked into the wallets, but as far as sharing news in a timely manner. This is PSA to all of you. I did pin it up top. There's a new crypto pop-up draining users. So PSA here, before we get you out of here with one last news item of the day. This is important stuff. Not to scare anyone, but yes, the scammers may have left crypto Twitter because Nikita's nerfing us all, but they do still exist. This one, if you're using a crypto wallet, you're familiar with embedded browser pop-ups that prompt you to sign transactions. However, scammers are now exploiting this in an updated scam tactic. When a user navigates to a scam site via social engineering, sponsored scam ads or scam comments on X look with a lookalike link, it mirrors the real website. In this case, Jupiter Exchange airdrop is not real. The website mirrors the real site exactly and follows the normal flow, meaning click to connect your wallet, then detects what wallets you've installed in the browser. In this VM, I have MetaMask and Phantom installed, so I detected both. I was already logged into MetaMask, so when I clicked on it, instead of prompting me with the MetaMask browser extension, it created a new pop-up window, a separate browser window impersonating MetaMask, displaying the URL and mimicking real MetaMask behavior. Since my MetaMask wallet was empty, it said I was not eligible, but if I had any funds in the wallet, it would have prompted me for a wallet draining signature approval. When I tested with Phantom, it followed the same flow. However, because I wasn't logged into Phantom, the fake window impersonating Phantom popped up first, followed by the real Phantom pop-up within the browser asking me to log in so that the scam window could pop up. I could be prompted or could prompt me a scam approval signature to drain the wallet after I logged into my legit wallet. So while you may be watching this closely and catching the red flags like the scam Versal app URL showing in the address bar, many people don't read when prompted for a wallet connection or signature. They simply click. This scam has already drained many wallets because people click without taking notice or 1 second to review what they're signing. Always, no matter what, take at least a few seconds to review what you're signing in your wallet each time. Something as simple as noticing a URL bar could save you from using everything. So quick reminder, segregate your wallets, have a hot wallet. Don't for everything. Just when you make a big trade, when you acquire an asset, move it to a secured, preferably hardware wallet, but at least another wallet that's not tied to the same thing you're using and clicking as your go-to. Also, make sure good reminder, don't click random links. Check the official account. Make sure you're clicking official links. I recommend, especially if it's something you're accessing frequently, like Uniswap. I have all those bookmarked. So when I go to a site, it's starred on my Chrome browser. If it's not, I know it's not the official site. Again, not to scare, but just stay safe, stay vigilant, and shout out to NFT Drew. If you're not following Drew, you should. And I don't have many notifications on, but Drew would be one that would be a recommendation, as he does put out a lot of good stuff to help keep you safe. And he's not going to be spamming. He's not going to be talking about Elon in a bikini or whatever the trending topic of the day is. At least not yet, unless Nikita forces us all down that path. Levi, thanks for joining. I think that's it on the chat. I'm just doing one quick scan and I got the last closing topic here. This is amazing. This is actually we got an image that Oxy and I was talking about. If you're shaking your head as two olds, we're talking about checks. Not only checks, this is how we used to have to accept credit cards. I'd forgotten about this. I vividly remembered having to accept checks and running them through as a machine similar to this. It would like scan the check, and basically all it was doing was, I think, reading the account number and routing number and then checking to see if there was funds available, or maybe checking against check systems or something like that. But yeah, I vividly remember this as well. Now that you showed me the picture, it was called a knuckle buster. You had to get an imprint of the credit card, had to write down the credit card information, had to get the customer sign. Like, man, oh man, have we come a long way. So while I said there has been a lot of new stuff in banking, I mean it all happened in this era, right? It was like we went from having to use knuckle busters to accept credit cards and paper checks to once we entered the digital world, the online world, and credit card, debit cards, and ability to transact online. That's like the last big evolution. That's the big, non-incremental advancement that we've had in banking at a consumer level. And this was like 20 years ago. It really has been kind of stale in the term of, I know institutional traders, I know those that are doing more than just saving and transacting, but at the basic level, we've not seen much change. If anything, it's maybe they're charging more fees today than they once were. So hopefully things shift the other direction, and 2026 is the beginning of more consumer-friendly banking and payment processing, etc. Casey adds, I agree. If they come on board with crypto, then there should be little to no change in rates. This should just change the method we bank rather than change much of the banking system to start. So this could give access to more funds to live with. I agree. Yeah, to back to Oxy's point earlier, if these are positive changes, and let's say they do offer a little more in terms of rewards than they are today, theoretically, you'd see more deposits. You'd see more consumers put more money in the bank, assuming it exists. The liquidity is there, and therefore more money for these banks to lend. They could get a little more aggressive. I think maybe it's just me, but what I really would like to see them solve for is just the ability to tap into your assets easier than what it is today. Maybe that's on chain as well, right? But to me, where my brain goes, well, it's just another use case for RWAs. In that car example, I can't go get a loan on, if I want to take equity out of my Tesla, I honestly don't know where I would go to do that today. I'm not going to a pawn shop. I'm not going to a loan shark. The first thought that pops in my head, well, if I could get a digital counterpart, if I could wrap that, put it on chain, there's probably someone on here that would lend to me. It may not be great rates. It's going to be a shorter time frame, but at least it's an option, right? And I think that's where I'm hopeful that this intersection of traditional banking meets on-chain banking, and it unlocks a lot of liquidity in assets that we average consumers hold today, right? Oxy, I don't know if I know you had to step away. I just want to check before I wind things down. The last topic I'm going to hit on is the big drop here at 1 Eastern. So we got like 3 hours for this drop, but just wanted to check in with you, see if you made it back, if there's anything you wanted to add in closing before we get out of here. The last thing, Thomas mentioned they use that in Home Loan 2. X is so broken in what feed I'm getting served. I've not mentioned Home Alone 2. I've not talked about Home Alone 2. I've certainly not referenced or engaged with the Wet Bandit, but that's another piece of information I got served up this weekend is the Wet Bandit from Home Alone and Home Alone 2 was arrested for transacting adult-related material or pay-per-use in the adult realm. I'll let you go do your own research because not a YouTube topic, nor do I want to pull it up on X and get my algo even further broke. But yeah, that's one of the things I got served up this weekend was the Wet Bandit is back at it, and this time he is soliciting not using privacy coins. That's pretty good. Like I don't have many zingers, but I didn't land that. The delivery could have used a little more work, but that just came to me in real time based on an abstract comment. I'm going to pat myself on the back for finding a way to tie Home Alone 2 together to the Wet Bandit and privacy coins. Mert, was it? What was it? Mert. What was the Wet Bandit's real name in Home Alone 2? What was the character's name? I will get to the important stuff. It's going to bug me if I don't get it out of here.
Oh no! Did you tell her about that? She's gonna give me some.
I think he.
You read me up, didn't you?
I think he's. I'm not sure he knows he's talking to us.
That's so cool.
Let me mute him here real quick, and then we'll finish up. There we go. Harry Lime, believe like Joe. Marv is who it was. Marv is what I was thinking. That was close. I said Mert originally. Marv, excuse me, could have used privacy coins and what might have not gotten arrested for his transaction over the weekend. That was good, right? Like that was good, Thomas. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go Google Marv from Home Alone, and I'm sure it'll be that now in your X feed. That's all you'll get served up today is either Home Alone, yes, Merv, one of the two. All you're going to get. If you go Google that or go search that on X, that's all you're going to see is one of those two things, either Marv and the Wet Bandit and Home Alone feed, or what the topic of what he was attempting to buy without a privacy coin. And with that note, one thing that you could buy without a privacy coin today is the World Star Cherry Cola Rec drink. Goes live exclusively on rec.com. Goes live at 1 p.m. Eastern Day. Do your own research. No obligation to buy ever. We've never actually had any sponsorship with Rect. I am a fan. I've got a few of the Moon Crush B1. I also have Jupiter drops back there and a few others. And I will be buying this one today. Rewards are back. Drink points come with this drop today. I'm not buying it just for the drink points. I am excited to try the Cherry Cola. I said on the show, I think the slight rebrand here, it's still called sparkling water, but I think Cherry Cola hits, especially when you're talking something that's a really healthy cola that only has 30 calories and 5 grams of sugar. To me, that resonates. That hits better than does a sparkling water with 5 grams of sugar and 30 calories. I know it's the same, but it's not the same. Words matter, branding matters, and this is a big partnership. I said it before, I think this is their biggest collaboration yet, in my opinion. No offense to any of the crypto native brands. No offense to X Games, who's a larger brand than WorldStar. My assumption is that this is actually a partnership in some sort of a rev share model, as opposed to Rec Drinks just cutting a check to link up with. I'm guessing, I don't know. I'm guessing they tapped into some of their marketing budget and cut a check to X Games to get that partnership done. I think this was probably not that way. And I think WorldStar, who's a content company, probably partnered up here with a revenue share, and they're incentivized for this drink to be successful as the official drink for WorldStar. So excited to support this one today. It probably will go fast. I think I saw the max supply is up to 250 cases. And while you've been thinking that's crazy, there's no way individuals will buy this, because the drink points are back on with this one. And thus far, it's been not that you've made money on every drink drop, but you get a big chunk back in Rect Coin for the purchase when they have these rewards on. And I'm excited to see how this goes forward. Like the levels, the amounts wasn't arguably not sustainable unless the token moons. And I think as we head into, I'm excited, optimistic for 2026 and all of our token prices. I think it's possible in the range of outcomes that Rect Coin has another year like they had last year at a year level. And if the token performs well over the remainder of this year, this could be a very good drop to get in terms of getting your rewards and your drank points, and then ultimately your Rect Coin. Oxy, go ahead and get back in here.
Yeah. So if you guys weren't aware, OSF did have an interview this morning with the Modern Market guys, and he kind of talked about this a little bit more, especially talking about the drinks from the drinks bought at grocery stores and how I don't know how, like, it sounds like they might not be doing points through the grocery store buys, or just kind of like, I don't know. He talks about it more, and I think it was a really interesting conversation. So if you wanted to hear a little bit more from the horse's mouth, so to speak, I think that was a very interesting interview. One part that he did mention was the fact that X Games actually approached, I think he said it was X Games approached them about doing a partnership with them, or I can't remember if it was either X Games or World Tour, or maybe even he mentioned both.
Wow.
And approached them originally and said, "Hey, look, we want to partner up." So it sounds like they're not necessarily always the ones going and reaching out and being like, "Yo, we'll pay you X amount of dollars to do this branding," or what have you. But let's partner up. It sounds like a little bit more of the opposite, which is incredibly bullish in my opinion.
Yeah, that's amazing. Very bullish. And I did have to shift gears. Wasn't able to. I was on Modern Market. I wasn't able to catch the end of it because I had to get ready for this show, so I missed most of the interview. But I did pin that up top. If you're not familiar with Modern Market, big fans. It's like my pregame. It's part of my prep for this show. Great group of guys over there. B-Check, Legendary, Bread, and they'll also have some other kind of rotating co-hosts from time to time. But do a really good job, really succinct covering markets, and also B-Check is now FOMOing that he's got too much in stables after trading the market really well last year and making seemingly all the right moves. He's starting to get a little FOMO. I'm reading between the lines, but it seems to be heading towards more risk on. So as someone who's got a good pulse on the market, that's bullish in itself. But yeah, that interview is pinned up top. If you want to go check that out for the show, I think it comes on around the 50-minute mark, if I'm not mistaken. And last thing before I do shut down, I just wanted to check Mayhem. Do you have that the ref link? When you say this is my referral, I click it. It takes me to a random. It just takes me to the main markets.xyz/chart. Shows me the US 500 chart. So one last question. Maybe you have a referral code, if that's possible. I can pin that in the chat as well. If not, hop into War Room and get that from Mayhem when he's typing it now. So I'm gonna get this. I'll pin it up top, and then we'll play y'all out of here. Oh, it is the Walrus. Okay, my bad. My apologies. So, let me go grab it. For some reason, I was thinking I read the post as the Walrus was part of this new platform that was allowing you to trade these global equities, I guess. Did not realize that the Walrus is actually Mayhem. I have a Beatles song playing in my head right now. Brain is not quite broken all the way. This is pinned up top now, so if anyone's curious, wants to check that out further, go give our guy Mayhem a solid and hit his ref link. And I think that's about it on the topics of the news today. Good conversation. Oxy, appreciate you as always joining the conversation. I just saw it was 13 hours ago, but again, X is broken. And so I'm just now seeing Bold's comic from yesterday where, again, I engaged with him quite frequently. And I shouldn't be complaining because I did see the post now, but I saw it because Ari Crypto reposted it. And I did not see the original post from Bold, but it's our one and only here. He obviously did this to himself. It's got a cartoon of Nikita, someone dead on the floor, and that person has stabbed in the back. And Nikita's saying they obviously did it to himself. The person stabbed himself in the back. Good. Bold is a gem. And like, I'm not PvP in this, but you saw that from Bold. I laughed. I giggled. Like, yeah, that's a good post. Beeples is also good as well, but my humor, my style, I think I preferred Bold's. Beeples was Nikita scrolling X, and he basically took the meme from Game of Thrones, and Nikita walking down with his shirt off with X tattooed on his chest and getting shamed. Speaking of, this is Alpha, new Game of Thrones coming. It is the prequel to Game of Thrones, but it's after House of Dragon. So House of Dragon, think of like, don't hold me to the math, but like 300 years prior to Game of Thrones. The new one that's coming, I want to say Fire and Ice, but I don't think that's it. Anyways, it's like about 100 years before Game of Thrones. So I don't think there's any actual character overlap, I think the families are the same family names, but yeah, really really excited for the new series. If you're a book reader, I can't speak highly enough of the Game of Thrones books. It's one of those that's actually is better than the movies and the shows. So enjoy. That's coming soon. We'll have some cold open. I can't wait for it'll be a Tuesday when Outer's on here. We'll definitely do at least a quick flyover on the new Game of Thrones. But with that, great day today. Appreciate everyone joining. OSF is doing weekly updates on all the things going on. One of my favorite teams and how they're going about it. They are building in public and also not running from things when markets go down and things get tough. Much respect, and one I'm happy to support. So all that being said, thanks again for tuning in today. We'll be back tomorrow at 8 a.m. Eastern time. I do have a pin to post up top. I'll repin it all the way to the left there. We have a special guest tomorrow. Would love a full house in here. They'll be joining us probably around 9 o'clock hour, but I'm just going to go pin that up top. If you haven't yet hit the reminder for tomorrow's show, I would appreciate it. And if you're looking for something else to help us out with while we play out of here, as always, our YouTube account is we're focusing the driving subscribers over there. So if you're not yet taking a few seconds and subscribe to our YouTube account, we'd greatly appreciate it. Helps out a ton. And also the Coffee with Captain account on the stage here. You'll see that in going forward. Appreciate y'all. Have a wonderful Monday, and we will see you all tomorrow. As Steve would say, hope you all have a wonderful day, everyone.